Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1297 of our daily content grind, part 2. So, as mentioned in the news roundup, there's just way too much news this week because we had this, I put a little leaking faucet there just so you kind of know what's going on. This was a dam bursting. We got the entirety of the 2026 retail toy line for Transformers, both Studio Series and Age of the Primes. And I can't cover everything that happened in Transformers for the week and cover all of that in the same video. And my schedule, because it's the end of the month and we got April Fools and all this, my schedule is pretty much locked down video-wise until Thursday, and I didn't want to wait that long to talk about it, so guess what? You get a double video day. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Let us discuss all the new stuff. Now, I will tell you I've presented visual examples. However, there are no photos of any of this. It is literally just listings, so keep that in mind. And we're going to start with Studio Series, and we're going to start with the new A-level toys, which is going to be Devastation Bumblebee to go with the recently released Devastation Optimus Prime. I'm expecting this to be, well, here's the thing. I would expect this to be an 86 Bumblebee retool or even just a simple repaint, but you got to remember, Devastation Bumblebee had a completely different vehicle mode. He's actually much closer to Classics Bumblebee. So I don't know if they would retool something for that. None of the I don't believe any of the A tier stuff has been a retool. They've all been brand new molds. So I could imagine them doing something that's more akin to Classics Bumblebee so that they could do it in the cell shaded, the same as the Optimus Prime, and it looks like the Devastation Bumblebee. However, it's something they could release later on as a Classics style Bumblebee, and I think everyone would be cool with that. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea. So I'm not expecting this to actually be a retool or anything. I'm expecting this to be a brand new B. The other 8 level, Orion Pax. And this is not like this one actually might be a retool. This actually might be a retool of the Optimus Prime we've already got. I don't see any reason why it would be a new mold. You know, this is another reason why I think the Bumblebee is going to be a new mold, because I think the Orion Pax is just going to be a retool of Studio Series Optimus. Seems pretty obvious to me. I don't see any reason, because they got the same vehicle mode. You know, they got a lot of the same design features. You know, it's a retool. And wouldn't be surprised me. So nice to see that Transformers 1 still getting a little bit of love. There were some listings for Studio Series that were just straight up Transformers 1, which is great to see. Confirm we're getting Thundercracker. And we know we're getting the Starscream, so that's pretty obvious. Like, we're going to get Thundercracker and Skywarp at the very least. Now we just know who goes first in that listing. Also, if we step it up to Voyager, we're getting Alpha Trion. So, yeah, a good face-to-face with Sentinel Prime coming up with that toy. The Prime Changer is fine, but I am going to be happy to see one that's got the proper size to him, and Voyager is going to allow them room in the budget for his asymmetry, for his little, like, mossy deco. This one should look really, really cool. Like, I'm actually excited for this. Like, this is one of those times where I hope they keep the design engineering simple, because he's a beast former. It can be simple, because I want all of that extra budget to go into making the paint job look really, really cool, because he's so like unique looking in the movie. That's not the most exciting one from Transformers 1, though. We are getting Arachnid. She's going to be a deluxe. I would have really preferred Voyager because her stature in the movie is very large, but depending on how they use the deluxe's bulk, that could be okay still. Like, if she stretches it out lockdown size, she might still be okay. I'm just happy we're actually getting the toy at all, because I love Arachnid's design in the movie. Hopefully it turns out really, really nice. Like, fingers crossed, right? Okay. Let's go into Studio Series 86. We do have a bunch of listings for more 86 figures, and a lot of it does seem like slot filler, but some of it also seems very necessary, and it's cool to see. For starters, Sunstreaker. Keep in mind, Sunstreaker's only in 2 frames of the movie. He's in there when he's piloting the shuttle that's taking Optimus and the Dinobots down to Autobot City. And then he's just kind of in the background when Optimus makes his charge into Autobot City. It's the smallest of appearances. I figure the only thing they could really do is like maybe adjust the yellow and swap the dark gray plastic and paint they used for just solid black. It'd be a minor adjustment of colors at best, which, okay, fine. It's another reason to release Sunstreaker, I guess. Cliffjumper, and that's fine by me because Cliffjumper was in the movie, so like that's fine. He has like actual lines in the movie. Like he's a character who actually participates in what's going on. So I'm okay with him getting a figure. I expect that to be an 86 Bumblebee retool. There's no reason it shouldn't be. So no real mystery there. Here's one that's interesting. Wind Charger. Finally getting some more of the Minibot Deluxes out there. So this one is interesting because you'll remember he only appears in the movie as a corpse. Now, you know Hasbro, for some reason, really likes their 2-pack corpses. So I'm guessing that they're going to break the tradition here, and they're just going to like release this guy as is. He's just going to be like a really good Wind Charger Deluxe. And then some point, him and Wheeljack are just going to get a dead 2-pack like they've been doing for everything else. You know, the Make Your Childhood Cry Part 3 pack. But, you know, it's going to be funny. It's like, because like he's going to appear, he's going to be a completely normal toy, and everyone in the fandom is going to go, wait, he was never alive in the movie. You know what's happening. If we step it up to leader for a moment, this one I'm just throwing in. It's out of order, but hey, whatever. We're getting another Snarl run. No surprise there. Snarl was kind of hard for some to get at retail, so not a shock that they're going to do a second run of it, which is counterpoint to them saying, like, we're not going to do, like, reruns of previous figures to fill out waves, but I think this is a unique occasion. I don't mind, like, super rare toys getting a second run, so fine, that's fine. However, okay, let's go back to Voyager size now, because here's some weird ones. Shockwave. An 86 Shockwave at the Voyager size. Now, I don't know exactly if it's going to be a brand new mold. I hope so, because I get the feeling they're just going to do what Takara did and release the Siege version without his armor. And that's going to feel really limited, and it's going to feel out of place because I don't like all the tech greeble on the Siege figures when you put them next to like movie accurate studio series figures. I think that looks weird, like really off. And Shockwave's going to be at risk of that if they use the Siege mold. If they do use the Siege mold, I hope it's got some heavy retooling to it. We've had that mold plenty of times now. I don't think we need it like that way again. But that said, Thundercracker and Skywarp are individually listed as Voyagers. Considering Studio Series Starscream was the Earthrise mold, I don't see any reason why these two won't be, Greeble and all, because the Seekers got a match. It's going to be good for people who missed out on that because that was a Target exclusive 2-pack, and again, a lot of people had trouble getting a hold of it, so this is another rerun that I don't really mind. Also, it's Seekers, so they'll have no trouble selling whatsoever. I would love it if this was some kind of like retool to make them more movie accurate, you know, take off a lot of that tech greeble, make them like nice and smooth in design, or, you know, just retool them in general. So you'll have like, oh, I don't know, a waist joint on a Seeker finally. I know, crazy thoughts, right? But you know Hasbro would love, they would absolutely love to get another Seeker mold out there that they could just run into the ground. And they would love an excuse to do another 86 Starscream. But most likely just repaints, just essentially reruns of the Target 2-pack, but cleaned up to be more friendly to the movie version. Leader 86 Astro Train. Now, I was excited for this because I would love another run at it. I would love to get a clean Astro Train without having to buy that 3-pack from Takara. The trick to this one is, I think it was Evan at Hasbro who came out and said, yeah, we still think the Siege Mold's pretty good. So I believe this one's just going to be a repaint, and I think that's a mistake, again, for the Tech Greeble. Again, I don't think it matches the rest of the aesthetics of the line very well. And I'm not big on that mold so much. I don't like the narrowing, like the narrow front of the locomotive in train mode. I don't like all the exposed junk in the shuttle mode. It looks like part of the shuttle's outer shell was blown off. If they're gonna do this as 86, I need the retooling. I need the tech detailing to be cleaned up and filled in, and I need that gap in the shuttle mode at the very least filled up. I hate when they just take a chunk of engineering off of the toy and call it a shield because they don't want to design it into the transformation, or the toy design just doesn't allow them to do that. In this case, I would begrudgingly accept that because it would fix a major issue I have with that mold, and I would really like to enjoy that mold. There's a few surprising listings for Studio Series. These are the exciting ones, I think. At least as far as the 86 run go. Tranix. Deluxe Tranix is on the way. I can't imagine what he would transform into because he's not a transformer. He's Lithonian, and they're robotic people, but none of them were ever shown transforming. They were never explained as part of the Transformer race, not in the 86 movie at least. It's cool because he is another important character to the plot. He's literally one of the first characters we see in the movie. So getting a new toy, getting a toy at all, I think that's fantastic. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm super curious about it. Because is he going to be retooled from somebody? Because he's still an obscure character. I can't imagine he gets a brand new mold, but no one really fits his design at the deluxe size, so maybe he has to get a new mold. I don't know. Super curious about that one. This one has me excited because I can't imagine this is a repaint or a retool. 86 Soundwave as a leader class. Now we know when he does when he comes out as leader class, there's stuff bulked in with him, like extra cassettes. That's what they did with Legacy United. And that's the whole reason why I think we're getting a brand new mold Soundwave, because that is a primitive mold. It really is. There's still a lot of leftover junk from the Siege spaceship version, like the landing skiffs on the arms. He is very heavily tech greebled. Again, that is aesthetically off-putting. It doesn't work for Studio Series. So yeah, I would expect, because of the recency to it, that Soundwave came out tail end of last year, early this year. To do another leader class Soundwave 1 year later, I have to believe that it's going to be a brand new mold. Otherwise, why would you run the Siege version one last time? Why would you run the Netflix version one last time? Yeah, so I think we're gonna get a brand new mold Soundwave. I'm super looking forward to that. That said, Studio Series 86 is also getting a sub imprint for the anniversary. This is just gonna be a side batch of 4, probably similar to how the extra Beast Wars figures were released during Legacy at Walmart. They were exclusives to Walmart, but they just kind of looked like their own wave on the pegs, and they had just the same boxes and all that. I kind of expect the same thing here, except they dance around the size classes, which is interesting. We're getting Scourge again. The only thing I could really think to do with him new is to add his Target Master partner, but that's not 86, is it? I thought the last Scourge toy was pretty much spot on. I don't know what else you do with it, for 86 aesthetic. Hound at the deluxe size, and this one is okay, I could see this one. Like you could like that version is a little bit leaning more toward like how the toy was handled, like coloring wise, especially with the secondary green. You could absolutely color adjust him to be more accurate to how Hound looked in the movie. Hot Rod. We know they've been wanting to do this mold again. They wanted to do it in Velocitron. It got canceled because it's the 86th anniversary. I don't think it's going to be that version because that one was geared to look more like the toy, right down to tampagraphs matching the old stickers. I have to believe this is where we finally get the thing we've been asking for a long time, and that being a Hot Rod in the actual movie colors that he had, the maroon color scheme. It's literally the only thing you can do with that toy at this point. It's the most obvious thing to do. They need to just go ahead and do it, give us what we're after. And I got the feeling that maybe that retro reissue of Hot Rod that actually had movie accurate colors, that one actually I think did well. I think I saw it on clearance, but not for long. I feel like that toy did pretty well. It was pretty well received. I liked it a lot. So that might have given them the confidence to do this one. I hope that's the case anyway. There's also a Leader Optimus Prime listed. I can't imagine it's going to be the Earthrise mold. Like that one just feels so primitive now, right? I get the feeling this is most likely going to be the Commander class, but without the trailer, without roller, probably with just sparse accessories. And maybe some, probably some like simplification in the color scheme or like the paint job. Because like that's still a very bulky figure. Like to release as a leader class, that still might be a stretch, but that's what I imagine it being. I can't imagine that after 86 Optimus came out, I can't imagine you would actually run the Earthrise mold again. So fingers crossed, because I know a lot of people who would love to get their hands on that mold, but really do not care about a big gray plastic box to go with it. So this would give you something else. This would give you a way of handling that. Okay, so that's your subset of 86. There's a few more listings for Studio Series that go into Transformers 5, The Last Night. One of them being Barricade. And this is actually pretty cool. I really like this redesign of Barricade because it gets rid of some of the elements I hated in the first version, like the big flat arms and the gigantic the gorilla proportion, the like big long like grabby Slender Man hands. I don't like that. This one is leaning far more traditional in shape, but I don't think that's such a bad thing. Like it's still very movie design, but he looks a lot more solid. And that's kind of what I wished out of Barricade's design in the first place. So honestly, like the toy here in this shot, it's actually pretty good. Like if they just reran that toy in better colors, like more movie accurate colors, I think that would be just fine. But I do expect a brand new mold that they can milk for a few retools or whatever. And then there's a leader class listing for Nemesis Prime, which, you know, we just got the Age of Extinction Optimus Prime released. I fully expect that's just going to be the exact same toy with just purple eyes, a couple of retooled things here and there, and a little bit of strawberry jam dripping down his face. Very, very cheap, easy repaint, very easy way to get another use out of it. Something that really, let's be honest here, there's a lot of space left in that Studio Series Age of Extinction Optimus packaging. They really, really could have just made the Nemesis Prime thing a head swap. That's all it really should have been. It should have just been a head on a ball joint, pop it off, put the altered head on, there's your Nemesis Prime, because that's all it really is. I know there's going to be someone who's like very into the Bayverse going like, oh, there's this and that detail different. No one can tell. No one can tell. And I don't think the larger populace cares about if the forearms are slightly different or not. You know, I just feel like it's a lazy redo. And if they're, you know, at the very least, if they're going to do this, like, can you at least do the Takara thing and just give him like the normal Nemesis color scheme? I know he didn't have it in the movie. I know it's inaccurate. I don't care. This is going to be lame otherwise. Okay, so we've gone 20 minutes, and that's just the studio series listings. We haven't even gotten to year 2 of Age of the Primes. Yeah. So the computer listings actually do call it AOTP, Age of the Primes. So this is a 2-year toy line, just as we were told. And according to, the listings actually do basically tell us what's going to happen with the rest of the primes that are not accounted for in year 1. This is also going to complete the Combaticons. So all of those are accounted for now. So yeah, it seems like this line is just 2 years and done, and then whatever happens next. So let's get this started by confirming size classes for all of the remaining primes, okay? So first off, Quintus Prime is going to be a deluxe. I don't think that's much of a surprise. I wish like he would be like a little bit bigger so you could do something a little bit more with the tentacly thing. But also, remember, I'm anticipating a Botanica retool from him. So deluxe is probably about the most you're going to get out of that. Obscure characters, yeah, keep it to the cheap side. Amalgamus Prime is going to be a Voyager. And this confuses me. How do you convey the whole thing behind Amalgamus Prime if he is just a Voyager? So I think people might be spot on with he might just be like an evolution of the weaponizer gimmick, and he might just come apart into a bunch of parts that you can either rearrange or turn into weapons for other characters. I'm super curious how they're actually going to portray the character, because he does seem impossible to do at that size, but clearly they've got an idea. And then there's Nexus Prime. So you'll remember in the past, I kind of surmised that like the Combaticons and the aerial bots were coming out so that they could do like a proper like Nexus Prime, the same way that they did for the Transformer subscription service. Nope. He's a Voyager. Okay. He's the prime of combining. How are you going to convey the abilities of a combiner in a Voyager? The only thing I can think of is like a return to power core, but without the stupid automorphing limbs. I think I kind of floated this idea before. I will bring it back now because I still think it's a good idea. If the arms and legs could pop off into and transform into independent vehicles, don't have to be complicated, just like maybe 2 or 3 step transformations. And then what's left of the body turns into a vehicle as well. That would convey it. That would do the job. I don't think it's satisfactory at the Voyager size, but I don't know. Granted, given the listings we have, I can see where like the other size classes are just a little bit full in 2026, so maybe this makes sense. As long as we're okay, I know there's one prime missing. We'll get to that. But let's move on to the Combaticons. I did mention that they were going to be in here. So Blastoff is confirmed as a deluxe, no surprise. Onslaught's going to be the 2026 Commander. We've been predicting that on this channel for a long time now. Brawl is the fascinating one because Brawl is listed as a Voyager class toy. Interesting. So keep in mind, there's a huge shift in Transformers right now because, like John Warden got rehired and then fired in 6 months. So whatever they were planning, kind of went out the window. And keep in mind, toy cycles run in 2 years, like from conception to release, 2-year cycle. So that explains why this toy line is only 2 years, because this is what they had planned. And it's why we seem to have like this cutoff point. All the primes have to be released in 2 years. All the Combaticons have to be finished in 2 years. There's going to be a few more gaps that are going to be filled up in this listing by the time we are done. So it feels like Brawl might be a Voyager because that might be the only way they could have gotten all of them out. Like the deluxe slots might just have been too full, and Brawl just ended up being in the Voyager size class, and they'll throw in a bunch of Bruticus parts or something, or extra weaponry accessories or something to make up for the price difference. What I'm actually expecting, and that's a one suspicion. The other one that's coming to mind is I kind of feel like Brawl always ends up being the worst of the team. If you think back to the last 2 times they did Brawl, it was the Fall of Cybertron Combiner and the Combiner War Combiner. And I think both times he is the worst member of his team by far. I feel like if they're doing him as a Voyager, that does give them the budgetary room to make him a very dense Voyager. He can have a little bit more bulk on him, which would be accurate to the character, and then he would have enough budget in him to form a solid piece for Bruticus instead of the mess he usually ends up being. You know, if you ask me why I've sold off Combiner War Computron twice now, a big part of it is because that nose cone uses that mold, and it hurts me. So I would not be surprised if this ends up just being like an Ironhide style super dense Voyager that's just like a large deluxe in the end. So he can still integrate, you can still connect to the framework, but he does have a little bit more mass to him and a little bit more budget, so he doesn't have to suck this time. Okay, talking about completing sets, right? Power Glide is finally getting a new deluxe toy. Boy has been gone since Combiner Wars. And he had to be a Legends class then. Now he gets to be a full deluxe. Fantastic to see, long overdue. That also opens up a path for our eHobby GoBots, our modern ones, to finally be complete. That's kind of cool. So we can get our bad boy, finally. Swerve is listed. Again, long overdue. And with that pretty much just leaves 2 Minibots out, and that would be Outback and Tailgate, both of which who have molds out right now. In fact, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen Outback, because the Brawn mold's been out for a while now. But this is it. This will come very close to completing all of the G1 Minibots as deluxes. The only one outstanding besides the 2 I mentioned that are just retools is going to be like Bumper. And I don't know if Hasbro cares enough about Bumper to release a specific retool that's just for him. I feel like they've had the opportunity and skipped on it. You know, we had that one, was it that one Bumblebee that like design wise was very much on point to be Bumper, and then they just like chickened out at the last minute and made it Bumblebee instead. I feel like I remember that from somewhere. So yeah, we've only got 2 Minibots, technically only 2 Minibots left, technically 3 if you count the odd Bumble Jumper in there. Sure Shot completes the Autobot Target Masters. Again, long overdue, but we're now in an age where they've figured out budget for Target Masters so they can actually have their partners, which does remind me, Crosshair's toy sucks. It feels just like a space filler, just like a check the box type retool to make him a retool of Siege Ironhide of all toys. Doesn't match the vehicle, doesn't come with his Target Master partner. So I'm sure someone in Hasbro considers that group complete now once this toy comes out. I don't think so. Until you do a proper Crosshairs, I don't think this team's complete. So fingers crossed on that one. Here's a super curious one, and I'm not sure what this is. Smokescreen is listed. And here's the thing. I don't think it's a rerun of the Earthrise Smokescreen, because that toy's not really all that rare. Like, you can go find it on eBay for about the price of toys from that era now. I don't think it's a Siege reissue, because that was a Generation Selects release, and it would follow the same scheme as Hound, or not Hound, but Prowl. Because I know that they just redid Siege Prowl for some random reason, but that was online exclusive. You're not going to find it in a store anywhere. So I don't think they're going to lump in, like, out of nowhere, here's Siege Smokescreen as a general release at, within Age of the Primes. which makes me super curious. Now, there's no designation of series, so there's no indication that it's G2, Armada, Alternator. How cool would it be if it's the Alternator? I've been waiting for that for so long. If they do that, then I can finally get that Dead End Sunstreaker repaint. I have no idea what to make of this one. Could be the G1, could be the G2, could be Prime. Could be Prime Smoke Screen. Could be Armada. Because we are getting another Armada toy, and this one should have everyone excited, has me excited. Sideways. And Sideways is listed as a Voyager. Now for him, we know exactly why he is listed as a Voyager, because they need the engineering budget to get the head swap in there. Because keep in mind, his minicons are far more important than just headmasters. They also transform into the rider for the vehicle mode. So that's a lot of extra engineering. Now we know from specialty packs that they have released elsewhere that a minicon would add about $5 worth to the budget of a deluxe. So getting 2 minicons on top of the extra engineering that Sideways is going to require for the head swapping. Yeah, that's about Voyager. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. This is like one of the hottest designs from the 2000s for requests, right? Like this is one of the biggest ones people are all about, like this toy needs to be done. We're getting it. It's interesting to me that we're getting it before we're getting the rest of the original Decepticons from Armada, because we've got the team of 3 Autobots already, but we don't have Cyclonus and we don't have Demolishor. And Demolishor is another one everyone clamors for a new toy of. I understand. Sideways is a really, really popular design, really popular character, and probably one of the ones in desperate need of a rerun, of a new figure. Like, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to ask, where Demolishor? Okay, animated fans. We're getting a few bones thrown to us. Deluxe Ratchet on the way. Okay, so after the Bulkhead fiasco, they seem to have gotten their act straight. The animated stuff, the modern animated stuff, it's a little generationed, but it still feels like the animated characters. I think they did a really, really good job on Prime and Prowl especially. I thought both of those were just outstanding. And now we get Ratchet as well. This does open up the possibility that we now need to see Bulkhead, because I do not accept that Legacy Bulkhead. I mean, it's based on Prime technically, but it certainly has no connection to the lovable lug from animated. That needs to be a leader class, and that needs to be, I guess, 2027 now, since like that's going to be a very obvious gap they need to fill to complete that set. That's not it. We also have a listing for a Voyager Wreck-Gar. And this got me super excited at first. Hey, yeah, another Weird Al Transformer. You know what occurred to me? He's going to be a Trashmaster retool. And I really, really do not like the Trashmaster toy. At all. I do not like that toy at all. And it's going to hurt me when this just ends up being him. I don't know. It's an obvious one, though. There's no reason to do another, trash truck transformer. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because that toy that would have to be so much retooling to make it work, but the body shape is correct. So it might be one of those, like, we're reusing the skeleton of this toy to make Wreck-Gar, which I guess that would be okay. But also, it's got the Junkion gimmick in, so Wreck-Gar falling apart wouldn't be, like, too far up. Oh my god, it's gonna be a Trashmaster retool, and I'm gonna hate it. Oh, here's a fun one. Transformers Prime fans, you don't have to buy the 4-pack to get Cliff Jumper. He's marked as a deluxe release. This one is fun for me because just yesterday at the toy shop, I had a regular come in lamenting lamenting that he had to buy a 4-pack just to get a hold of Prime Cliffjumper. Well, problem solved. You got to wait a year, but patience will be rewarded. You will have a Cliffjumper. You do not have to pay 80, 90 bucks for whatever that 4-pack cost at retail. I forget at this point because it's been a long time since I bought mine. Or even like the 50 bucks. I know it went on clearance for 50 bucks. Hey, 25 bucks. 25 bucks and you don't have to deal with the weird orange tarantulas. Okay, so we have one listing for a Generation Selects release. And I think this is an obvious one since we already saw that G2 Snarl and Sludge, or no, not Sludge, but Slug. We already saw that their listing was coming up, so no surprise. Well, I think this was a surprise. We are getting G2 Sludge, and more importantly for me, we're getting G2 Swoop. I love this. I love this. So we were kind of like going back and forth, like maybe that's it, because there's only 3 G2 Dinobots, and if they 2-pack the repaints to go along with that new G2 Grimlock that just came out, then there's really no reason to continue that. But I'm happy they are. I'm happy they are. Now, granted, I've already bought that Grimlock twice, and I bought all the rest of the Dinobots already. I really do not want to buy a whole set of Dinobots again just to have them all in G2 colors. I have nostalgia for the Grimlock, but I'm trying to resist any urge to get it. Maybe if I find it on clearance or something. But I don't feel like dropping $260 odd to get another 5 set of toys when, frankly, I'm only nostalgic for a few of them. I'm not nostalgic for the Slag. I'm not nostalgic, I don't really care about Orange Sludge. What I would love from this 2-pack is the Green Swoop. You're going to take my favorite Dinobot from childhood and you're going to give him my favorite color. Yeah, I'm going to want it. So when this pack is announced, do not be surprised if I am asking someone to buy the Sludge off of me, or hounding people over on Blue Sky going, who's buying this for Sludge and doesn't want the Swoop? Hit me up. I will get the Swoop eventually though, one way or another. Yeah, even if I skip the Grimlock and just go like straight up no G2s, I'll still get the Swoop. All right, let's do a little bit. The last listings are Beast Wars and Beast Wars adjacent, and this makes me happy. Deluxe Quick Strike is happening. I remember the designers scaring me because at one point they mentioned, oh yeah, we would love to do Quick Strike as a core class. Like, no, do not do Quick Strike as a core class. That would ruin this design. Oh no, we're not getting him as a core class. We're getting him as a full deluxe, which is exactly what he should be. I'm super excited for that. That again completes our season 2 cast outside of Transmetal variants. And I don't know. I feel like at this point they just need to do Transmetals as like dense, like dense deluxe Voyagers, just to justify the extra paint apps they're going to take and the the extra parts for the third modes. And then like Megatron and Optimus can be leader class somewhere down the line. That seems to be the only option at this point. Like, I don't see how else you actually get Transmetals out there, because Hasbro knows there's demand. Hasbro knows there's a lot of people asking for it. I don't know how Takara feels about Transmetals. That might be the holdup here. But, like, it's literally the only place left to go. And I'm just, like, sitting here waiting. Bated breath. The adjacent one is a repaint, but it's one that I know a lot have been asking for. We're finally getting it. Universe Razor Claw, most obvious thing in the world. It's just a really, really cool looking repaint of Tigerhawk. Makes me wonder where Cryotech is, I'll say that. And that's going to be a leader class for 2026. But there's a new mold leader class that's also Beast Wars that a lot of people are going to be happy about. It's the first leak we got out of this one. Big convoys on the way. Oh, this one's exciting. I want to see how he looks in modern engineering, more animation accurate in the robot mode, and potentially less reliant on kibble. I know that's ridiculous because he's like almost all kibble, but we've gotten a lot better at engineering toys. I feel like they could do it at this point. More importantly to me, this means that all of the Beast Wars leader characters from the US and from Japan have all had new toys, except for my favorite design of them all, which is Beast Wars 2nd Galvatron. And now I'm just kind of going like, where is it? I know you've got no repaint options. At least for him, you got options. You got the Nemesis Prime from Universe, which is probably the best, probably one of the best Nemesis Primes from that era. And then you've got Ultra Mammoth. I think everyone would get a kick out of a new Ultra Mammoth. I need that Galvatron. I don't care. Like, repaint it into like a weird Beast Wars Megatron. Repaint it into G1 Megatron colors. I don't care. I need that. I need that character. I need that toy. So that's your last leak. That's a ton of stuff. That's a ton of stuff. Now, this does leave a few questions here. Obviously, there's a few gaps left. We got one gap in the Autobots from Armada or from Animated. We got some Minibots that are left out. I think the weirdest omission here is that out of all of these listings, we do not have a Studio Series Commander announced for 2026. Now, if we're going with the anniversary releases, I have to believe that it's going to be Rodimus Prime in the maroon colors. And 86 Rodimus is another big one that has not been done yet. And it's probably just going to be a repaint of the Kingdom one, hopefully a little bit of retooling to just kind of clean them up a little bit, make it more movie accurate, but it's high time. They haven't rerun that mold since Kingdom. It's, and it shouldn't be a one and done mold. And just like the normal Hot Rod, I think a lot of people want to see him in his proper movie colors. And then there's no Titan listing. I think that's the most curious one. But that said, who was missing from this entire list? We got caught up on all of the primes. We now know the size classes for all of the primes. Where's Liege Maximo? And it's at this point I will show you his first appearance to remind you, Liege Maximo is gigantic. I am willing to bet you, as a counter to Star Optimus Prime as a small commander, R13 are going to be completed by Liege Maximo being the 2026 Titan. That's the vibe I am getting at this point. If they're doing it to scale the original design, this is exactly the scale. This is perfect. And you do realize they really do like to have those counterpoint figures when they do Titans, right? So, like, we got the Ark, so they had to do the Nemesis at some point. So that wouldn't surprise me in the least. Not in the least. But that's your listings. Those are the leaks. Oh my god, that's so much to talk about. That's so many exciting things coming out. So, in the comments below, your assignment is to tell me your most anticipated one. Which one are you looking forward to the most? Which one concerns you the most? There's got to be someone in this list that you're convinced they're not going to get correct. So, feel free to discuss it in the comments below. And as always, I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.